So today we're diving into one of the most bizarre and infamous cases of television signal hijacking in history, the Max Headroom incident, which in November 22nd, 1987, viewers in Chicago were left bewildered and shocked as their regular programming was interrupted by a mysterious figure wearing a Max Headroom mask. The Max Headroom incident took place during the broadcast of the local news on WGN-TV Channel 9. Suddenly, the original signal was hijacked, and the hijacker appeared on screen for about 25 seconds, making bizarre, nonsensical statements while wearing the iconic Max Headroom mask and sunglasses.
Well, if you're wondering what happened,
Now, seeing that in a broadcast while you're watching the news, I'm pretty sure people are like freaked out during that time. This is 1987. This is not something where it's like hijacking or hacking wasn't like everywhere during that time. It was something never before seen. So the thought of it was just mind-boggling to a lot of people. I know for me, for instance, if I would have seen that, I would have just probably thought it was a commercial. It lasted as long as a commercial from back then. But it wasn't just the first incident. Approximately 2 hours later, after that, another signal interruption happened.
But it's the only way to learn.
I'll give you a buck.
You can try
The hijackers targeted PBS affiliated in Chicago during the broadcast of an episode of Doctor Who. Similar to the first incident, the hijackers used sophisticated equipment to override the station's broadcast signal. They interrupted the airing of Doctor Who with a video featuring a person wearing a Max Headroom mask and sunglasses again, along with a distorted audio and visuals. This one is lasted a bit longer, a bit too long for my taste. During this incident, the hijackers made different statements and engaged in strange behaviors compared to the first incident. The content of their message and actions were still bizarre and nonsensical, contributing to the confusion surrounding the event. Like the first incident, the authorities launched an investigation into the second Max Headroom incident, but were unable to identify the culprits. And it's really hard to tell where and how all of this happened. And you have to think about, once they doing it during a Doctor Who episode, I personally would have just thought it was a part of the show. Doctor Who is ironically strange enough as it is, so why wouldn't it appear as if it was part of the show? But in 1987, I was only 4 years old, so don't count how old I am, okay? Just know I'm old. It's just weird. To me, it was just oddly weird. Could it have been a prank? 9 out of 10, it could have been a prank, but there are motives, and never really know until you actually know. But 3 decades later, and we still don't know, So then there's that. The identity of the person or group behind the Max Headroom incident remains a mystery to this day. Despite investigations by law enforcement and media organizations, no one has been definitely identified or charged in connection with this hijacking. The lack of concrete evidence and the fact that the hijacker used techniques to mask their identity, because obviously they didn't have, they had their own version of VPN back then. And speaking of VPN, we are sponsored by, no, just kidding. We're not sponsored by VPN. No, but this would have been a great time to put that in a segue, right? But they protected their identity by obviously wearing a mask and distorting their voice. So it definitely made it challenging to determine who was behind all of this. Can't look through fingerprints in a video, and a video as such as old as 1987 technology. They may never have caught the people behind this beautiful prank. I'm gonna say beautiful prank because touche, they haven't been caught, and it's oddly enough that they haven't been caught 3 decades later. So I'm gonna just say marvelous prank. And it might have been a prank, it might have been a signal behind it. We don't know. That's meaningly the mysteriously behind everything. I said the same thing twice. Yeah, I think it's time for me to go to bed. But in 2010, Reddit user BPug volunteered some information in an Ask Me Anything thread where he put forth a theory about the unsolved television intrusion of 1987. Hailing from the suburbs of Chicago, BPug was an avid breaker, which in terms is literally the hacker term, as a teenager in the late 1980s. Phreaking, according to BPug, is the art and science of manipulating telephone networks and the system which live on them. Bum, bum, bum. In other words, it's the precursor of how we know hacking nowadays. BPug, who asks Atlas to withhold his real name, obviously for what kind of reasons, involved with a group of phreakers operating in La Grande, a suburb of Chicago. The de facto leaders of the group were 2 brothers in their early 30s. And these 2 brothers were called J and K. And that's how it's obviously to protect their identities. But J and K. In 1987, the week before the infamous broadcast, the brothers warned BPug, who was 13 at the time, that they were planning to do something big, something out of this world over the weekend. They told him to tune in to Channel 11 on the evening of November 22nd. According to BPug, the actual hack was simple enough to pull off. They didn't require any advanced or technical equipment beyond what the avid phreaker would already have had in his arsenal. He also writes that all that had to be done apparently was to provide a signal to the dish. The older brother Jay had moderate to severe autism, says BPug, but was capable of phreaking. The rambling heard in the intrusion, including threats to Chuck Swirsky, a popular Chicago area sportscaster, and a hummed version of the Clutch Cargo theme song, seemed to reflect Jay's interest at the time. This is the crux of BPug's argument. When asked about the motivations for the hack, BPug likened to a kind of public service announcement. It only lasted long as it needed to get the point across. That point being that the airwaves were woefully unprotected and easily exploitable, in the equivalent of having your picture taken on the summit of Mount Everest before coming back down. But this was 1987, a few years before the advancement of the World Wide Web, the long before the concepts of trolling and hacking became known. I got so upset that I wanted to bust the TV set, one man told a reporter for WGN, one of the affected TV stations. Though the true identity of the hackers and their motivations are lost in time, the legacy of the Max Headroom incident endures, informed by the original signal intrusion on the fateful November evening. Hacking has moved from the realm of merry pranksters to serious protests and even government-sponsored terrorism over the past 30-odd years. The Max Headroom hackers, who were likely just trying to have a bit of fun, predicted a global movement. The Max Headroom incident remains a fascinating and inspirational case in human history television. Despite the efforts to uncover the truth, the identity of the hijackers, like I said, are still unknown. So at this point in time, we have no clue who these people are. It could be in any of these YouTube comments, just like, wow, what a great job they did. And we would be sitting here not knowing. Honestly, it's an intriguing story to me. One that I still find fascinating, and one that I can keep on living by, knowing that it's a mysterious, unsolved case, because of the fact that no one knows who these people are, and if they even struck again, because at this point in time, you have to think about it, this is something that's commonly done now. You know, back then the technology was there. It was simple enough to do it, but people weren't aware of how to do it. But these guys can do it, then I'm pretty sure a lot more people can too. Oddly enough, this is a very intriguing story about it. Hacking and hijacking, as they call it. So what are your thoughts on this Max Headroom hijacking? Have you guys heard of the story? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? And obviously, let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to do any other type of story. I'll just try to research as much as I can and point it out for you guys. I am fascinated on doing a lot of story times, so there is that. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm here for you. Okay, so it's been your boy Chaz signing off. Like, comment, subscribe, do the yada yada YouTube stuff you guys already know. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. We're done. Finito. Out of here. Bye.